All right, welcome everyone. I'm going to talk about Filecoin and Ethereum, building Web3, and how we're better together. Quick about, I started Protocol Labs, which is a company that is driving breakthroughs in computing. We make IPFS, Filecoin, and a bunch of other protocols. A lot of these are building blocks for many Web3 applications. We make FIL+ETH, the networking stack for Web3, used by a bunch of different protocols. We also made IPFS, the data and content platform of Web3, that has a large and growing ecosystem. And we've made Filecoin, the storage network of Web3. And so today, I'm going to talk to you about that. Long term, we're going to be focusing on a bunch of other kinds of computing breakthroughs as well. I'm sure that a lot of people here are interested in the future of computing. So maybe we'll talk about that more in coming decades. We're very ecosystem-oriented, so we tend to build open-source projects that are modular, that anybody can use for many kinds of systems. We tend to refactor things that are large into smaller components that are reusable by a bunch of groups. We tend to do a lot through grants and investments into other groups. So we have now, in the last year or so, become funders of many other organizations and many companies building in the Web3 ecosystem. And many of our projects end up creating ecosystems themselves. So things like IPFS and Filecoin have large and growing ecosystems. Cool. So Filecoin, I wanted to give a quick update on the progress so far since launch last October. Filecoin is a decentralized storage network designed to store humanity's most important and valuable information. The goal is to use crypto economic incentives to summon a large network of storage providers that can then store all your data. So build the cloud, but with crypto. Another component of Filecoin is to create a retrieval network. So think of CDNs, but powered by crypto. This is later stages of Filecoin. The network launched in October 15th, 2020, so it's been less than a year. And so far, here are some of the stats. We're almost at 8 exabytes of storage, which is an enormous amount of capacity. So I'll put it in context in a moment. But I would think most of Web3 stuff fits within 10 petabytes or so. So this is a lot more data really fast. And this is the power of crypto economic incentives, right? So if you create a mechanism, you drop it into the network. And if it's sound, if there's a good reward there, then networks will grow. So you can think of Filecoin as a two-sided market, where on one side you have clients, and you can think of these as clients of storage individually. So this could be individual users or companies that have a lot of data, or applications. So most of the clients in Filecoin will be applications that then use Filecoin the way that you would use Amazon S3 or something like that. And on the other side, there's the storage providers that add the storage facilities to the network. And you can here see pictures of some of the storage providers that are adding racks and racks and racks of drives into the Filecoin network. Just for context, this is, I had to update the graph. I haven't pulled the latest one, but this is a snapshot of the different storage providers around the world. And the growth rate of this network is pretty crazy. This is adding about 60 petabytes of data every day. So that's about the size of the entire Internet Archive, just for context. And so every day, there's a new Internet Archive being added into the network. So this is a staggering amount of capacity. We are way above where we thought we would be just a few months after launch. And this growth rate itself might increase later in the year. We shipped recently an upgrade called Hyperdrive. I think we've done 12 or 13 network updates at this point. And those are upgrades in the same way that Ethereum upgrades work. And Hyperdrive may even 5x or 12x this growth rate. It already 2x'd it. It might increase it more. Here's a view into storage deals. So this is the set of actual, Filecoin's structure is to first build a bunch of capacity and then over time turn that capacity into useful storage. So this is the network transacting. There's about close to 18 petabytes stored. So these are kind of active deals on the network where parties are asking for storage. You can see that there's a lot more capacity than storage. So this means that there is huge amounts of capacity basically for free for you to use. You just have to then use a Web3 powered network. So for the people that are going to be building in the hackathon, think of what you might use free storage for. or potentially negatively priced storage. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But things like video NFTs that are huge, like full-length movies, all that kind of stuff can now be thrown onto Web3. Here are some of the applications and tools that people are building on top of Filecoin. So there's a lot of developer tools, things like Textile is a company that's building a bunch of different kinds of tooling, including most recently some auction-style structures for. They have like a connection to Near and I think soon coming to Ethereum, where you have a contract on chain that is auctioning deals that are coming out of the network. You have consumer applications like Slate. So this is a view into one of the consumer apps. You can think of it as a gallery, a way to kind of collect media on the web and display it for people. So this is kind of really high quality product design. Then you can think of also web development tooling, so things like FI+ETH, which is kind of like a Netlify style service where you can make it super easy for people to build and develop and deploy normal standard web services and web applications into IPFS and Filecoin. There are also standard, more typical kind of personal storage applications like chain save files. So this is kind of like a Dropbox style component. I think there's a few more of these. I think FI+ETH also made one. And there's also a bunch of interesting DeFi use cases where there's people building the machinery, the financial machinery to map asks and bids in the storage market. This is just getting going, so this is another area that's good for hackathons where ways of representing kind of an ask and bid storage market, so parties can see what's going on in the market. And then there are also all kinds of interesting DeFi-style applications and systems where being able to kind of reason about the economics of storage and coupling the finance of storage to crypto powers and DeFi powers yields all kind of structures that weren't possible before, right? So, for example, this isn't quite what this group is doing, but you could now do hard drive futures. So that's not like a thing that exists today. Oil and other commodities rely very heavily on a well-financialized market with all kinds of futures contracts to be able to kind of deal with the spikes in supply and demand. And you can do that now to hard drives and like properly commoditize them. And there are other networks like Ocean Protocol that are building data marketplaces on top of other networks like IPFS and Filecoin. There are retrieval networks. There's a few of them emerging where you can download a standard app and then offer your nodes storage and cache for other parties in the network, and so on. This one, I think Powerloom is making this kind of way of snapshotting entire websites, kind of like an Internet Archive style thing where you can snapshot an entire website, get a hash of that moment, put all of that into IPFS and Filecoin, and then be able to kind of verifiably prove that a website looked a certain way at a particular moment in time. And then there's video. There's a bunch of cool stuff with video that people are doing, both with LivePeer, Voodfy, and VideoCoin now, where people are taking advantage of all this storage that's available to now do video hosting. And one of the coolest ones that I really like is Huddle, which is doing this peer-to-peer video conferencing, so think of Zoom, but where you take advantage of the local area network connectivity of LibP2P, and then you can record and back up all of your conferences or like your conversations to Filecoin. And they're kind of focusing on the education market in India, where the connectivity is not very good, storage is super expensive, and then this has like a very good advantage. Cool, and then there's a whole bunch of developer tools, so Truffle, Infura, and others. Cool, so what's next? There's a lot of stuff coming from Filecoin. There's a lot of things around improving the stack, so improving developer UX and getting to good product market fit, put all that storage to use. We got to scale, so very quickly we hit the limits on the chain. We're doing a bunch of stuff to both pack all the proofs with things like SnarkPack, and so Filecoin is the biggest snark machine on the planet. That we are doing way more snark proofs than anything else. we got to also scale the chain beyond that and do sharding. So we'll see. Let's have a race and see who can ship sharding first. And then we also need to build the whole retrieval market. So this is a thing that's up and coming. And one of the things that most people are really excited about is having smart contracts in Filecoin. So we were hoping that bridges would be enough, but it's still kind of like clunky to use without having smart contracts directly in Filecoin. So there's proposals to add the EVM or other VMs into Filecoin. That'll make it easier to build bridges and to be able to kind of connect the economies. And all kind of really cool things kind of drop out of that. And there's a bunch of bridges that will come to other networks. So think of Filecoin as a way to back up a bunch of the storage in other networks. And so we hope to kind of interconnect with all the groups. And there's a bunch of people building. So I think this year and next year are great for builders who want to think of it as like the early days of Ethereum or the early days of other networks where suddenly you have all these new super powerful primitives, still rough around the edges, hard to use and so on, but super powerful and give you things that you couldn't do before. So we've built a whole kind of set of stages for people that want to build with hackathons, accelerators, and grants to help them get going. Great. So how Filecoin and Ethereum are better together. Way back in DEF CON 2, we had a shirt that showed IPFS and Ethereum and had this better together thing. So I was like, great, like let's do that version, but for Filecoin. Don't have shirts, sorry. Maybe next time. Here are some of the things that Filecoin and Ethereum do together today. So these are a whole bunch of shared components, so things like IPFS and libp2p and the DApp infrastructure stuff. We borrowed the EIP 1559 gas model. It's working great. And we do a lot of VDF research together. Opportunities ahead, so things like EVM, ENS, potentially DRN and the Beacon chain there might be something there around using both of them. And we look forward to finally shipping VDF hardware someday and sharding. One cool thing that Ethereum and Filecoin are doing together is storing 1.5 million NFTs. So this is most of the NFTs that exist. And most of them are coming from Ethereum. They're all addressed in IPFS and backed up with Filecoin. This is free NFT storage. So if you're building NFT things and you want to make large NFTs, there you go. And then there are things around being able to kind of create a dataverse where you can start making the data that's on the network more useful, more valuable. So think of Filecoin as a way to kind of think about transacting on moving the data or storing the data. But then you can now start layering other kinds of economic value. So think of NFTs as one version of this, but there are other kinds of things that people might be able to do. So think of data feeds and the utility of those, or being able to auction those or sell those to different parties. So VDF research and so on. EIP 1559 works great. Can't wait for this to ship in Ethereum. And the apps that you build, that's what makes us better together. So I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas for the hackathon. Who here is going to hack at the hackathon this week? A few people, not very many. Well, for you and the people that didn't raise your hands, go to the hackathon, go build something, or go to another one later in the year. And for the people watching, here's some ideas for you. There's a big list that we collected last year for HackFS. There's another HackFS coming. You can look at that list. You can think of making this composable DFIL that I was talking about, where you can think of the market orders, like the ask, the bids, and the deals, and put those through a DEX and be able to see what the market actually looks like. And then you can think of all kinds of other financial structures you can build on top of that. So things like hardware futures, like do futures on hard drives and SSDs and GPUs and so on, and all the hardware that's involved in the process. Or space-time, so you could actually do futures on the storage contracts themselves. And that's wild. Like nobody's ever done that. So that's a super crazy idea that we'll see what happens when that emerges. So you can now do video NFTs with lots of data. So the Filecoin team built all the machinery to connect their video processing engine with Filecoin storage. So now you can use their tooling to do all the video processing that you want on being able to kind of like piece together all the components for transcoding the video and exporting all the right relevant bits so that all the different browsers can render it well and all that kind of stuff. And so that means that you can do things like small movie clips or Vine-style things, or like full-length movies. You know, the Vine use case is a really good one. Nobody's made like Vine meets NFTs, and this is totally a thing. You'll see that this will become a thing. So for the people hacking, you might consider doing this. You can also do pay-per-view media. So you can, there's groups now doing token-protected pages. You can do that with full-length movies or music, arbitrary web pages. And you can also think of selling the rights to do that. So something that hasn't happened is right now NFTs don't provide the rights to use it as a productive asset. But that should happen. I think that right now that's sort of broken in the NFT ecosystem, and that needs to change so that NFTs are way more useful and valuable. You want to create an incentive structure for the buyer or holder of that NFT to then go and market it or make it more useful to the rest of the world. So this is like a much more incentive-aligned thing where if you sell the right to distribute the thing or charge for viewing the thing to the buyer, then they're on the hook for making that a productive asset. And so the artist can just focus on producing the art and not have to worry about also marketing the rest of their content. But they still get a royalty based on the split. So I think whenever this happens, that's going to just blow up the NFT market much larger than it is now. And hey, you can do it for now a large content, so movies or 3D environments or dynamic environments where like you have a programmable environment. So think of like a game or something like that. And one idea that I want to, this is one of the ideas that I think is most interesting and most exciting that's available right now that not many people fully get. It takes a little bit of time to explain. So in Filecoin, we have a thing called Filecoin+, which means that certain deals from that are verified, so this is like high-quality storage, have like this notarized verifiable claim that lets them create deals that give 10x the block rewards. So this makes very attractive storage deals. That means that then clients can go and auction off those very valuable deals to miners. Miners who really want those extra block rewards might bid with decreasing storage prices, dropping all the price completely to zero, or potentially negative pricing. So we might, I think the conditions are right today with Filecoin to get finally negatively priced storage. So you, as a creator or collector of valuable data, can earn money for giving the right to some storage network to store your data and serve it to the rest of the world. So that's totally new, and it requires basically an auction house, kind of like the standard NFT ones. So think of like Foundation or Rarible or OpenSea or things of that nature. And if you couple that with making a storage deal and kind of closing the loop, then you can get negatively priced storage and that might be worth a ton. Then there's other things like marketplaces, agents, and so on. You can think of being able to build a market associated with each one of these chains. Cool. I think we're 1 minute. Sweet. So I'll maybe flash some interesting kinds of data you might want to store. Data DAOs are really cool. I've already explained this on the web. You can find a good explanation out there. So yeah, we can now do all of this stuff. So see you in the metaverse. Thank you very much. Oh, and last thing. We're here to help. So if you're getting started, use hackathons to try out building something. And then from there, if you can apply for a next step grant. So PL is offering these next step grants for kind of like promising builders that want to just try out and see if that thing could become a promising project, whether it's a nonprofit or a startup or something like that. And then we've also created a number, kind of like an accelerator on-ramp throughout the whole year, this year and next year. For those, some subset of those projects will then go on to accelerators, and then there's investment funds and whatnot. So we know how hard it is to get things going, so we're trying to make it way easier. So if you're making a thing and you need support, whether it's help with product, help with tech, help with thinking about company building, we host office hours. And if you need funding, then there's a whole set of groups in our ecosystem that can help you with that. PL is also doing grants and investments. Cool. So happy hacking. And yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities to build with these magical storage, free storage superpowers. Have fun. Okay. And then Yes.